Despite the fact that Germany is not the birthplace of tanks, the Germans are still quite successful in their creation. German tanks at one time became one of the most formidable and technically advanced vehicles in the world. For example, the Tiger tank became a legendary and recognizable tank all over the world, but Germany also had other, less well-known vehicles. We present to your attention a selection of rare German tanks from different eras that did not go into series or were produced in small batches. You are on the Caro's Show channel. Enjoy watching. Leichter Kampfwagen, one German tank from the First World War designed by Joseph Vollmer. Created on the basis of an automobile chassis, as a result of which the machine is made according to a standard automobile scheme. The engine was in the front of the hull, and the drive axle was mounted in the rear. The armament of the tank is a 10mm cannon and 2 machine guns. The thickness of the armor is from 4 to 10 millimeters. In the middle of 1918, a single prototype was produced. Its further fate is unknown. Immediately after the creation of the Leichter Kampfwagen 1 prototype, work began on its improvement. In June 1918, a new modification was built, the LK2 light tank. The German army ordered 580 vehicles, of which only 2 prototypes were produced. Panzer Kampfwagen VI Tiger P, German heavy tank of the Second World War, the prototype of which was the VK 4501 tank. The prototype was presented to Hitler on April 20, 1942, along with the competing VK 4501. However, according to the results of the military commission, the version of the VK 4501 tank was recognized as more successful and adopted by the Wehrmacht. This decision was largely determined by the electric transmission of the tank, which required a large amount of scarce copper for production, although the tank itself was almost ready for mass production, which could not be said about its opponent. As a result, only 5 Tiger P tanks were built. An interesting fact is that today only 1 Tiger P is known for certain, which participated in the battles on the Eastern Front in 1944 in the region of Galicia, where it arrived at the disposal of the 653 Tank Destroyer Battalion as a command tank with tail number 003, where it was almost immediately destroyed by the troops of the Red Army. Treffas-Wagen is a medium-wheeled tank of the German Empire developed in 1916. It is considered one of the most unusual and strange tanks of the First World War. 2 huge wheels with a diameter of about 3 3/10 meters were to form the basis of the chassis, as a result of which the total mass increased to 19 tons. The crew of the car consisted of 3 people and was located in the karma of the hull between the main wheels. The armament consisted of 2 20mm cannons mounted on the sides of the tank. By February 1, 1917, the prototype was built and tested until the end of March. Driving characteristics were very much inferior to Mark I, and the firepower was like that of a conventional armored car. Having summarized all the data, the German command refused to further support and develop the project, concentrating all the main efforts on the A7V tank. The tank stood motionless for several more months, and in October 1917 was dismantled for metal. VK 1602 Leopard, experimental German reconnaissance tank of the Second World War. The machine was developed under the clear influence of the Panther tank. It was necessary to develop a high-speed reconnaissance tank capable of conducting reconnaissance in difficult combat conditions, so the Leopard's armor was increased at the expense of driving performance. The prototype was built from April 30 to September 1, 1942. The program provided for the creation of 105 vehicles from April to December 1943 and another 150 vehicles until the middle of 44. But the project was closed in favor of the Panther, since the Leopard could no longer fight the main enemy Tank 34 and the prototype was scrapped. The tower was later used in the SDKFC 230 and 4 seconds Puma armored car. In an attempt to keep up with the British and French, Germany developed the A7V tank, hefty parallelepiped 7.3 meters long, 3.3 meters high. This tank was 3 meters wide and weighed 30 tons. The car was built on a tractor chassis of the same design as that of Schneider, but the patency was even worse due to the weight, height, and lack of a ship's bow, which made it easier to overcome funnels. Also, the A7V was extremely unpleasant in operation. The engines were in the same compartment with the crew, which brought the temperature inside the tank to 50 to 60 degrees. This was true of most tanks of the First World War. But here, the huge dimensions were added, making the car a favorite target for artillerymen. Extremely poor view of the driver, located in a small towering cabin. He could not see almost anything because of the upper part of the hull of his own tank. It is not surprising that only 20 of them were built. That is, there were still more captured British diamonds in the Kaiser's army. But this miracle without a turret and with 2 guns mounted directly into the hull is nothing more than an experienced German tank of the 1970s Leopard III. It was developed simultaneously with the Leopard II tank as its further replacement. 2 samples were produced, VT1 and VT2. Both models were made not from armor steel, but from ordinary steel. They differed not only in different guns, rifled 105 mm and smoothbore 120 mm, respectively, but also in different engine power. For VT1, it was within 2,000 horsepower, and for VT2, it was 2,200 horsepower. Also on VT1, the charging system was fully automatic, while for VT2, the automatic loader was only on 1 barrel. The second was put on alert manually. When fired, the shells intersected at a distance of 1,500 meters. In the course of the tests, many difficulties were revealed with this arrangement of the barrels. One, when firing from a place, good hit accuracy was revealed. After many years of testing, the tank was still declared untenable. MBT-70 is a joint U.S.-West German project to create a promising Pine battle tank for arming the armies of both states. The project belongs to the second half of the 60s. Its main goal was to create a replacement for the M60 tank capable of surpassing the promising main tank of the USSR, which later turned out to be the T-64. The MBT-70 embodies many technical solutions that were original for its time, such as a low silhouette with the driver located in the tank turret, adjustable high-drop pneumatic suspension, the use of combined armor, a remotely controlled auxiliary weapons station, and combined with a launcher for anti-tank guided missiles 152mm gun. Since the MBT-70 was created as a superior weapon system, its weapon system was designed to defeat all promising armored targets, providing armor penetration rates unprecedented for 1965 for homogeneous steel armor. 250mm at an angle of 60 degrees from 2,000 meters when firing a subcaliber projectile, and 600mm when firing TERS. Despite the relative success of the project in September 1969, the U.S. Department of Defense revised its attitude towards this joint program, mainly because of its high cost. As a result, on January 20, 1970, the joint project was terminated by splitting into independent national programs: American XM803 and German Leopard II. We could not but include in this list the German super heavy tank Panzer Maus, designed in the Third Reich in the period from 1942 to 1945 under the leadership of Ferdinand Porsche. With a combat weight of 191 tons, the Maus is the largest tank by weight ever embodied in metal. The tank was made at a high technological level. It had 200mm armor in the front of the hull at a 55-degree angle and 2 cannon armament consisting of 128 and 75mm cannons. Traction electric motors were powered by 2 generators located in the engine compartment. Two independent electrical systems transmitted torque from the engines to the drive wheels through a two-stage gearbox. Only 2 copies of the vehicle were built. These tanks were not tested in battle. In April 1945, when units approached the training ground, the Germans decided to destroy the prototypes in view of the impossibility of their evacuation. Both tanks were blown up, but only one suffered significant destruction. Later, one of the 2 damaged tanks was assembled on the instructions of the commander of the armored forces. On May 4, 1946, he was taken to the Kubinka training ground, where he remains to this day. Thanks for watching this video. Don't forget to press the like button and subscribe to the Caros Show channel. Also watch our recent videos. Goodbye.